Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello, lovely one, and welcome to another episode of Rockabye Revenue. Now, I am so glad to be chatting to you today. I can honestly say this is a very welcome distraction because I have had a shocker of a week so far, and just coming on here and thinking about supporting you is kind of a nice break from all the things going on in my head at the moment. For any of you that's been following my story with my children, and certainly my eldest son, who is autistic and has some other things going on as well, and has had a real struggle with schooling in the last 18 months. Well, yesterday I had a meeting with school who have said that they can no longer meet his needs and the next step is a special school. And as much as I absolutely agree, my gosh, let me tell you, it is come with all the emotions. And right now, I think the biggest thing that I feel is just utterly sad. I do, and I know I won't always feel like that, but I just feel really sad. But anyhow, as I said, I am here to talk to you, and actually what we're going to talk about today is actually quite relevant to some of the things that I've been feeling in the last few weeks, certainly. So we're actually going to talk about why parents need you and your services more than ever. And listening to this today, my intention is that this leaves you feeling so motivated for your work. Whether you are a hypnobirthing teacher, whether you teach antenatal classes, whether you're a doula, whether you run pregnancy relaxation classes, whether you are a sleep consultant, whatever you do, if you touch the lives of expectant or new parents, this episode is going to give you that all-important boost of motivation. Because let's face it, motivation is like this. If you can't see me on video, I'm like moving my arms up and down like a wave, Our motivation peaks and it dips. That's normal. Totally normal. And I'm talking to you towards the end of January, maybe the start of February. It's dark, the days are short here in the UK, it's cold, there's no signs of spring yet, and that in itself can sometimes leave us feeling a little demotivated. Now, when you work for yourself, the wonderful thing is you don't have a boss banging on your door, telling you what to do and when. And that can also mean that you are so much more reliant on your motivation, which can kind of be a bit difficult if you're having a bit of a dip, okay? So take this episode as the real important message that you need to hear to keep that fire in your belly, to show you just how much your voice, your services, you getting seen by parents and expectant parents is. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. So the title of this podcast is Why Your Services Are Needed Now More Than Ever. Okay. Now, I know sometimes as business owners, we can fall into the comparison trap. Yeah? And I did a whole episode on this. So if you ever do find yourself comparing yourself to other people doing the same thing as you, go listen to that one. It's a really important one, okay? But we can find ourselves in comparison, and as a result, we can feel like we're just one of many, and a bit like, maybe it's not that important that I share my message because there's already so many people doing it. Well, it's a blooming good job that there's a lot of people doing this kind of work, and we're always going to need more. We are in a time where, my goodness, expectant parents and new parents' mental health is, could we go as far as saying at a crisis point? The aftermath of COVID, the cuts in services, the huge amounts of women experiencing birth trauma mean that so many new parents experience mental health difficulties and services are swamped. Now, you might not directly work in mental health, okay? Your services might be nothing to do with mental health. However, it is totally known, and research shows it, that parents that have a supportive network are so much more able to deal with the difficulties of parenting. So, yes, you might be a hypnobirthing teacher, or you may be a baby massage teacher, and you may know that what you do gives, great entertainment and teaches people fabulous things. But what it also does is it provides that community that is so needed. The knock-on effect of your fabulous hypnobirthing group courses is that parents are meeting other parents like them. They may continue those contacts. You may actively encourage that, which helps share and validate all their feelings, which can absolutely positively impact their mental well-being. Add to that services like hypnobirthing, antenatal classes, doulaing, absolutely can help people have a better birth experience. Birth experience matters, Those people who say it's just a day are absolutely deluded, Yes, in some cases, labour and birth may last a day. But let's go talk to an elderly woman who's had a baby before. No doubt she can recall exactly how she felt during birth, whether she felt cared for, whether she felt fearful, whether she felt fearful for her own life or a baby's life. Those experiences last a lifetime and can absolutely impact how parents feel once they've become that parent or once they've expanded their family. Okay. So whilst your services absolutely do, support people gaining skills and all this kind of things, they can have such long-term implications for their emotional well-being. And I had such a needed reminder of that recently. Some of you might know that I was so fortunate enough to be invited to my younger sister's second birth. She'd previously had a cesarean, and this time, 3 years later, she was so determined to have a vaginal birth, and she wanted to have this baby at home. And as you can imagine, being VBAC, wanting a vaginal birth after cesarean, there were hurdles in her way. There were people and health professionals that, would have rather her not made that decision. Okay. Now, quite honestly, being at her birth was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, I would say. And it really reminded me why birth matters. She had the most incredible vaginal home birth, and it was incredibly empowering and calm. It was everything that she wanted it to be, and she has been on an absolute high. And I remember her sharing a reel that I'd shared with permission of her birth, and she shared it and she said something like, I really should have written this down so I could read it, but she said, it was more than a birth. It was a healing experience. It was something that has given me a new love of my body, a new respect of my body. And yeah, it was that real reminder that we all need sometimes, how much services that help support expectant parents matter. I'm not saying she couldn't have done it without hypnobirthing, but absolutely feeling so in charge of her choices, having tools to approach it with calmness, and having all important comfort measures absolutely impacted that experience. And yeah, that's a reminder why it matters. And yes, she got the birth that she wanted. And that might not be the case for every person that, a hypnobirthing teacher might work with. And actually, if they don't get what they want, they're so much more likely to feel better about it. And that's what we're talking about. Mental health, emotional health matters so, so much, especially in that transition to parenthood. Another reason why, what you offer matters so much now in 2025 more than ever is, of course, the aftermath of COVID. So many of your clients that you work with in whatever capacity may have had their first experiences of having a baby during COVID. They might have had a baby early 2021, they may have felt very unprepared for their birth experience. They may have had, some real challenges during their birth due to rules, due to things that were implemented at that time. And they may have had a really challenging time postnatally too, without those support networks, without those clubs to go to, without that sense of community. And they're having a baby again, their first baby may be 3, 4, so a real common time to expand your family. And they've got all those feelings from their first experience, and they deserve it so much more than anyone, to have that healing experience, to have those communities, to have those networks that perhaps they missed out on through no fault of their own, through a blooming awful isolating time for everyone, never mind new parents. For some of those people, they may look back on those years as quite traumatic, and they may not see how it can be different this time. And they need people like you to show them that actually this time can be really different, and that they can view their experience, whether it is pregnancy related, postnatally, really differently. So that's another reason these services are needed more than ever. Now, we are living in a time where life's changed a lot in the last century, We no longer have family on the doorstep, close communities, a village, as people say. We're often living far away from family, friends, maybe friends that are quite new in your life, through colleagues, that kind of thing. And we just don't have those networks of people supporting us during this huge transition in life. And as much as that's really sad, it also means that, families need to see where this support is available locally. you know? And yes, you might think, oh, well, I only offer like 1 hour classes teaching baby massage. Or, I only offer hypnobirthing classes. But like I said earlier, so much more comes from bringing people together, allowing them to meet like-minded people. Some of the people that are so supportive in my life right now are the people that I met in the early days of my babies' lives, And we were united by this big event in our life of becoming parents. And if I didn't have that validation, what I was feeling was normal and common, I really think my transition to being a parent would have been truly different too. So we haven't got the village. We haven't got close communities. And as much as what you offer may feel like just a class, just some sessions on sleep or whatever, it's not just that. You might be one of the only spaces that your clients are actually heard, I talk about this in the first session when I'm training hypnobirthing teachers, actually. I talk about this age of communication we're in. And, if you're watching this on videos, I did air quotes there. Age of communication. To me, well, to anyone, I reckon, communication is a two-way thing, We're talking, we're listening, we're speaking, we're sharing. It's two-way. And I don't think a lot of that happens in this day and age. It's the age of information. Everywhere a parent, an expectant parent goes, they are bombarded with information, what they should do, what another person did, what is the in thing to do. Bombarded with information on other people's experiences, and very rarely are they actually listened to. They don't get opportunity to connect with what's right for them and how they feel about things. Let's take even going to the doctors or in pregnancy going to see the midwife. Often questions are asked, but due to the nature of these services and how overstretched they are, there isn't time for actually those responses to be truly listened to in so many cases. And I know there will be great examples where that is not the case at all. But often the experience, if you listen to expectant parents and new parents, is the fact that they'll often be given a leaflet, given information, and very rarely are they actually heard. And like I said earlier, you might be that space for your client, asking them how they're feeling about things and really listening. If you run classes postnatally, or even if you work antenatally, but you have some form of community following afterwards, and that might be simply a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group, in those spaces where people feel that they can share and be heard without judgment, my goodness, that is so, so powerful. Now, you might be thinking then, I get it, our services are so needed, so, so needed. We're at a time where women don't have that community. Birth trauma statistics are through the roof, and mental health is in a real bad place, and services are not available. So I hear you, Abby, I hear you. But you might think, but maybe I'm not it. Maybe I'm not good enough. And what I really want you to hear is that, oh my gosh, we need so many different types of people to offer these services. So when I came into this industry, my little, devil on my shoulder giving the doubt was oh, I'm not crunchy enough, or, I'm not political enough, or maybe I don't know enough. So there's better people than me. What I have come to realise is, I am that regular person. I am that person that, can be I don't know how to say it, but, I can disengage with things that feel too heavy, I'm a regular Josephine, and actually that's what my clients needed. They needed relatability, They needed someone that didn't feel like some, huge professional that they felt intimidated with. They needed someone that shared a bit of vulnerability so they also felt that they could be vulnerable. That's what they needed. So whatever you are like and whatever that devil on your shoulder says, remember there will be people like you that need people like you. You are a few steps ahead of them, So maybe you've come to this work, maybe you're so passionate about working with expectant or new parents because you feel you had a rough time back then, or you feel like you had a good time and other people could benefit from some of the things that helped you. You're a few steps ahead of them, So you're a great person to take them under your wing and really support them. And blooming great if you are not like other people in the industry. Fabulous. And if actually you think, I'm actually very similar to a lot of them, you won't be. You're you and they're them, and your personality is truly unique. And some people, unless they find your particular flavour of what you offer, they won't engage with it. I know there's some people that did my hypnobirthing courses that if they hadn't have found my sessions, I don't think they'd have done hypnobirthing, because they were attracted to my kind of like less woo approach, straight talking, fun, friendly. They were attracted to that. And maybe there were other services that just didn't feel right for them. And that will absolutely be the case for you. So please remember why you're doing this. Please remember those people out there that absolutely need you. There will be so many people sat there, living their life, absolutely needing your services, and they don't know about it. They don't know about it, and you're letting doubt, lack of motivation, preventing them from receiving this support and this transformation. And let's not forget the ripple effects of the kind of work that we do, the huge ripples. Yes, we might be working with mums-to-be or new mums, but what is the impact of that to the wider families, to how they feel in other areas of their life, even the generations that are to come. Like when I think about my work and I think about, my passion for empowering positive birth, I think, I really hope that means that my daughters don't have the fear of birth that I had, I really hope that my children can own their choices because it's just normal for them, That's the ripple effect. When I think about my sister having this incredible home birth, we are not from a family where we do things different, We are definitely from a family where you do what everybody else does. So I know that even if I hadn't have been a hypnobirthing teacher, but my sister hearing of the positive experiences of birth I've had, I know that has rippled out to her. And I'm not trying to take any glory from her birth at all. It was absolutely all her. But when we share our experiences, we show people what is possible for them too. So don't forget why you do what you do. This is amazing work, and as much as we can build incredible businesses from it, we also blooming change lives. So those things that you know you need to do in your birth or baby business this week, go in with that motivation, knowing that it is so blooming important, and don't you let anyone tell you it's not. It is. Your work is so needed. You are needed. Keep on going. Keep on changing lives. And I shall see you next week. Bye. Have a good week. Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.